form that made me his guardian for the trip. Isn't that scary? Imagine if I have to be your guardian. That's a scary thought. So, Connor, what made you want to come on this trip?
I think for most of us, most of us haven't been on missions before, and I think that was the main thing that pushed me to go on this trip, was that I've never experienced this type of trip before, and I've also never been out of the country before. So this is my first time going out of the country, and yeah, I saw this opportunity and I thought that it would be a good way for me to break out of my comfort zone and to see a place outside of Orange County, Southern California, where I can see God's work in action.
How nervous were your parents?
They're so scared. They did not want me to go.
Here, I think your mic's not on. Is it that? It's him, right? Here, give me this.
Why do we have a mic?
How do I turn this? There we go. Caleb, it's low battery. Nope. Testing. On.
Hello?
Here we go. So his parents, by the way, were straight up like, please just bring him home. Like, just get him to the United States and we'll pick him up. And I was like, I'll get him on a boat. So his parents were scared, but was it safe?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a very Hey, so can you explain, what did our team do while we were there?
So we had two teams that were there. We had the optical team, which was the doctors and the people who were checking the kids' eyes, and then we had the children's team, which ran like a VBS while either the parents were getting their eyes checked or the kids' eyes were being dilated, and then they needed a place where they could like hang out before their eyes could get retested again.
So what dilation means is it's like your pupils get all big. So when younger kids, they get their eyes tested, we have to like freeze certain parts of their eyes, so that way we can actually get an accurate reading. And so then while their eyes are dilated, they actually can't see that well. And so we send them to go hang out with Connor for him to bully them, right? Connor, tell us some of the activities that you did with the kids.
My favorite activity was coloring because it was the least like, I didn't have to do much. It was just like, here's some crayons, and they were happy with that. So, and then we also did jump roping, my least favorite activity.
Connor's not coordinated.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. And then we did duck, duck, goose, and then fighting. Dodgeball, ultimate dodgeball.
Anyways, so what about this trip, like specifically working with the kids? And how old were the kids that you're working with?
I think they were 3 to 11 or 12.
Okay. So basically up until middle school.
Mm-hmm.
What about working with these kids really impacted you?
I think with the kids, the thing that impacted me the most was, I think this was the first time where I was really actively trying to spread the gospel, like in an authoritative role, because I would always, like here, I try my best to spread the gospel, but like, it's different, With the kids, I was I was there and I didn't know any of the kids. It was a new environment, and I was specifically there to just spread God's word. And I think that sort of forced me to do like what I was doing like more effectively and efficiently, I felt like, for myself. And I think in a non-spiritual aspect for the kids, I think something that I learned was that the kids, like, because I don't really hang out with that age group ever. Like, I don't think I've ever just hung out with like a 3-year-old or like a 10-year-old before. So I think they really taught me to just, because they were so excited to just play the games with me, and I saw that they were so excited to color or play jump rope, and
I think that kind of childlike mindset is something that I've completely forgotten about for myself, and I think I need to remember to sometimes live in the moment and like be grateful for every little thing that's happening right now and just stop thinking about the future, because even though those kids aren't in the greatest financial situation or maybe home situation, they were just so happy for me to, you know, throw balls, like throw the dodgeballs at them or like fight them or whatever. So
Disclaimer, no kids were harmed. Hey, you mentioned their financial situation. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
yeah, so especially in the area with the church, a lot of the houses were like extreme poverty, where the houses were just like square bricks, and like the houses were tiny, and there was no, you know, running water or AC, and the roads were like just dirt roads, and then it was just so dry and hot, and like the people weren't able to get all the basic necessities that they need. So
Yeah. There was this moment for you guys where this truck came in to deliver water, because that's how they get water. They can't just like turn on a faucet and then there's unlimited water. There's a limited supply, and sometimes these trucks come once every 3 weeks. So if you run out of water quick, you have no water, you know. There was even, describe what it was like to flush the toilet at the church.
yeah, once I took a dump, and then I had to, because you had to fill the bucket of water and then pour it in when you go to the bathroom or whatever. But then I had to conserve very effectively to get that one bucket.
So what that means is you sit on a normal toilet, but instead of like pushing a lever for your stuff to go away, you have to take a bucket of water and pour it in to push it through. Does that make sense? Because that conserves more water. And there's even like this huge basin of water. I'm talking like it's a giant basin of water, and you scoop water out to like wash your hands, or to like wash other things. And it's all about conserving water because they don't have access to that stuff. And you mentioned the houses. Like, can you approximately, if you like look at this room or some objects in this room, can you help describe the size of the house that you see?
Yeah, it was probably like a quarter of this room, if not smaller, I think. Yeah, with like the bedrooms for the whole family, the kitchen and the bathroom, and yeah.
So one house is a quarter of the size of this room, and it sleeps at least 6 people. 6 people, okay? Connor, so you and your family sponsor a child in Honduras. So you got to meet that child, right? Can we get that picture up there? It's him and this like girl. So that's your sponsor kid. Tell us a little bit about her.
Yeah, so we started sponsoring her when I was her age, actually. So I was 11 years old, and then she turned 11 when I met her there. So it was kind of a surreal experience, I think, because like I had known about her for so long, and my parents would always talk about like, we have, someone that we're supposed to be praying for and thinking of in our day-to-day lives without like ever knowing her. So it was really special to be able to meet her and to form connection with her over the couple days that we were there.
What did you learn about her that impacted you?
I think what really impacted me, just her situation, like financially. I didn't know what the houses over there looked like. So before I was kind of like, oh, she doesn't have enough money to be able to support her day-to-day needs, but it's more like she's like dying in the heat every day, and like she needs fresh water, and she might not be able to get food that she always needs, and yeah, that was sad to see.
And then you found out about her family,
Mm-hmm.
right? Tell us a little bit about that real
So
quick.
she has 3 older siblings that are a lot older than she is, and then her oldest brother, he's in the United States. He escapes the United States, and then that's eventually her and her family's goal, to be able to get to the United States, but I don't think it's very slim chance of that happening.
And it's not like he's doing well.
Yeah, he's probably like minimum wage job and living with lots of other people. They're not even able to, they probably won't see him for, they may not see him like ever again, honestly, because it's just such a difficult task to be able to hop the borders and stuff.
So, obviously you've been impacted by meeting your sponsor kid, and I got to see that happen in real time. Noah got to see that happen in real time, and that was super cool. But what else impacted you during this trip?
I think the thing that really impacted me the most was the initial Sunday service that we went to, because we came off the bus, and then everyone was greeting us like we were heroes or whatever, because we were there to help them with their classes. And I think when I first walked in the Sunday service, I didn't expect much, because like the building, it doesn't look like too crazy special or anything. So I was just expecting a normal Sunday service, but I walked in and everyone was so just excited to worship during when we were praising and when we were singing. People's hands were up, and I just didn't really expect that because of the environment we were in. It was so hot. Like I really wasn't like I wasn't in the mood to really worship either, because it's so hot in the metal container, it's like a metal container, the church area. And then all these people are not in the greatest financial situation either, so it's hard to be able to, I think, thank God for all that you have when you have so little too. So what really stuck out to me was just the people that were so locked into the message and to the worship. Just showed me that to look back into the posture of my own heart, because I don't think I go into Sunday nearly as ready to worship God as they are. So that really made me think about how I should be when I come back.
Yeah, if there's a way that I can sum up what you just said, is you're realizing how spiritually poor you are. When these people are coming in so hungry to know more about God and what the Bible says and how God impacts their life. And here we are, we come into a nice church building with AC and heating, and we got carpeted floors, and we got nice chairs. They didn't have magic chairs. Yeah. Some people couldn't even sit. And that was humbling for me too. As a pastor, I was like, wow, I'm spiritually poor compared to these people. So, well, what did you learn about yourself on this trip?
I think the number one thing, I think it's kind of cliche when you come back from missions, but it's just to be grateful for all that we have here, because I was really honestly, I knew I was going to be shocked going into it, looking at people's living situations and how they lived, but I was really my mind was blown. I think I was so shocked that people had to live that way, and I didn't take into account the heat, which apparently it's not like the hottest time of the year right now.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really hot. And then just to be grateful for what I have, but then I think other than being grateful, I think on that specific week, I felt myself more in tune with God and praying more often, like praying every day, praying when I was uncertain about things. But I think I accredited that to the fact that we were there on a spiritual mission. So I was like, oh, it's probably because we're here to serve God, so I'll be more in tune with God on this trip. But it made me realize that if I have that mindset going into every day and starting every day like that, I think eventually I'll become as in tune with God as I was on that trip every single day.
It was so cool for me to see as your pastor, what does it look like for a teenager to live a life on mission, to live a life with purpose? Because you were locked in every day in a way that's very different than you being locked in studying for a test or taking a test at school. And correct me if I'm wrong, Connor, but it almost seemed like you kind of got a bigger picture of what your life could be.
Yeah, for sure.
So last question is, what did you learn about God on this trip?
I think the main thing I learned about God was how He works in such mysterious ways, because I think in my life I've felt God's presence before, but I never really saw His ways come into fruition before like I had on this trip, because I was just thinking about how everything like perfectly aligned for me to be able to go on this trip. And then also, even on the trip, there was an instance where our clinic ended at 3:30 and everyone had just left, and then it just like randomly started pouring rain like the second the last person left, and I was like, that would have been so bad for everyone there, like to be having to walk home in the pouring rain. And I was like, I think just moments like that just showed me how God's perfect timing for everything is so real. Yeah.
And just to put this in context, guys, the people that we were serving didn't have cars. They don't have money for a car. They don't even have money to eat a hamburger. That was humbling for me to find out, where we're eating good for lunch and dinner because every $1 for the US is $24 in Honduran dollars. So we're eating really good. And we're a church that has money while they're a church that's literally in like a broken warehouse almost compared to us. And so we're eating real good. And then I found out that the lunches we are eating, the people we serve would never eat. And just to put this in perspective, a family of 6 has a monthly income of $50 US dollars. A whole family survives off of $50 a month. I just want you to think about that. So if you eat Chipotle, a chicken bowl is like $12 for one meal. They will never do that. They could never do that. Someone would starve if they spent money like that. So this is why I love it when you guys go on a mission trip, you guys go on a service project trip, because it opens your mind and your view of God and his heart for this world. And that was what Connor got to do on this trip. And so I'm so proud of him. Let's give him a round of applause.